cigarettes. Supervisors unanimously approved a ban on the sale and distribution of vaping products and endorsed a ban on making e-cigarettes on city property. Another vote is required before the bills become law. The goal to reduce the number of young people using the products. Pam Coulter, CBS News.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary-related entertainment.
Now that we've all quit dancing on the tabletop, we're going to start the show. Hey, aloha, and welcome, everybody, to Maui Nonprofit Notes. Now in our 10th year, we are still talking story with our Maui Nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out what's happening in their world. We, it's always interesting as I go through this opening. I mean, it's like every week I say the same thing over and over. And when I start talking and reading, these ideas pop into my head, something I should add or take out, and that's when I get all messed up because they don't fit.
But you ad-lib so well, Susie.
Was that a good enough excuse for that terrible opening? Anyway, so Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling your home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we're going to share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to start off the show talking with Dr. Greg Lagoy, who's are you the CEO?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have been for a while.
Yeah, about 15 years. Out of the 30 years I've been there. Half of it as executive director, half as CEO.
I see. Same job, just different title.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And different, as a CEO, you're an officer of the corporation, and so it makes changes,
gotcha,
other things possible.
It gives you more power and more control and more
respectability sometimes.
And responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Also falls in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got you. I'm going to stay as executive director. Thank you.
I still sign that way in certain situations where it feels like it's heavy-handed to say CEO because it does to some people, and we're sensitive to that.
That's true.
The change was made really in order to facilitate certain compliance issues and documents signing and stuff like this.
Right. You often wonder, I mean, like Maui United Way, who's our second guest agency today, you've got your chief professional officer.
President and chief professional officer.
Yeah, and it's
a mouthful.
Okay, so why does Maui United Way have a chief professional officer?
I know. So you're president of the organization and chief professional officer to the board.
Oh, okay. But it's all the same.
Yeah. And because other United Ways have executive directors, others have CEOs.
Oh, really? So that's not a United Way thing?
Nope.
Hospice Hawaii on Oahu has a chief professional officer as their head. He's president and CPO also.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of, I don't know, how did we get on this subject? We weren't going to talk about this at all.
You were introducing me, and you weren't sure if I was the CEO or the ED.
All of the above. He's the guy in charge. But it really is kind of interesting as you go down the list, like of our members even, and you see their different titles, and you think, okay, are they executive officers when it's a smaller organization, executive director of a small organization, CEO of a larger organization, but then they're mixed up?
We should just say HPIC, head person in charge.
The HPIC.
HPIC. We're so big on acronyms. HPIC.
Interesting.
Or as some of my boss says, or my staff says, the big boss.
Big boss.
Big boss.
Right.
There you go. I'm the BB. Whatever. Shoot. Things happen and you wonder who really is running the show.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, for all of us. Anyway, Greg, thank you for coming and joining us today.
My pleasure.
Hospice Maui. A lot of different things are going on in the world that people are talking about when it comes to hospice programs. You're the foremost here on Maui. You're what, 35 years old?
38.
38?
Mm-hmm.
So you're the first and only for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think I asked you this at one point before, but let's kind of hit on it again. How does one decide where, now that there are choices, which hospice they go to?
I would say that by asking people who've experienced the care what their experience has been, because now, thousands upon thousands of people on this island have had contact, been served directly, or have had a family member served by a hospice program, and people have their insights. And one of the things to keep in mind is that when a patient or the entire family is in distress because someone is facing something so huge and that they don't know what to do with it, any assistance is appreciated. So in general, hospice has a good name because the whole concept helps people. We do good work. And I would say beyond that, talk to people.
I am a testament to Hospice Maui, and I can't say enough. When my dad was making his transition, you guys helped not just him, but our entire family, from the baby all the way through my mother and his sister and everyone. And I just felt so much support and love. Like, I'm crying because I can't say enough about Hospice Maui. Like, the care, the love, the concern, and is just outstanding. Hands down.
It's genuine. I think that touches people.
It does. And it lives with them forever because everyone's going to go through this at some point, and you want as much, and you'll need as much support as possible because everyone navigates things differently, and it's just, you guys are just phenomenal.
Thank you. I have a story that touches upon that. It's only just happened in the last 6 months or so. Our team, which is typically a nurse, a social worker, nurse aide, a spiritual counselor, physician, and a volunteer. That's kind of our team. Was taking care of a man who was, I think he was in his 80s, and as you just brought out, we don't just care for the patient, but we support, the entire family. And this man had a son who I think was in his 50s. And the staff didn't even notice him at first because he had a chair that faced a corner and he had a curtain behind him so that he was basically living isolated in a corner of his house. And so our staff started, checking in with him and whatnot. And he was very introverted. And turned out that he had some terrible circulation problems in his legs. Looks like he probably needed his legs amputated. I mean, we're talking so bad you can't even imagine. And over the next several weeks, the patient died as was expected with our support. But this son, our team brought the situation to our team meeting, which we have every week. We half of our patients, we have about 85 patients on our service at the moment, and half of them are talked about in detail every week. So our team meetings last 4 and 5 hours. The son situation was brought up, and a plan came as to how to slowly work with him and start talking with him and introducing to him the idea of maybe going to the doctor. And he said, you know what, I'm going to die here like this because I'm not going to the doctor because they're just going to cut my legs off. I've already had people tell me that, and so that's it. I'm not going to go. So if he wasn't going to go, then in fact he was terminally ill. So we took him on our service. So even though the father had passed, we started working with him and slowly got to the point where he was willing, with one of our staff present, to go to see the doctor. And I mean, it was like baby steps, like getting him to go to the bus stop and meeting him at the bus stop. And we discharged him recently because the doctor said, this is treatable we'll be able to, it's pretty bad, but we can reverse this, a lot of it. And so he's having treatments now, and I would say he's engaged life in a completely new way because of the support he received. And it's been it's been life-changing for him, a powerful thing for our staff to feel that they were a part of. And we do occasionally have people who, quote, graduate from hospice, and he's an example of a success story of that.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Isn't it, though?
Amazing.
I mean, that's taking, like you said, you work with the whole family, but that's going a step beyond your normal practice of working with the family in the grieving process. This is something that they picked up on, saw a need, and then figured out how to help.
One of the reasons that we fundraise, sometimes people will ask, well, why does hospice fundraise? You guys are healthcare. Insurance pays for you. Why should we give extra money? And the reason, very simply, is that for our staff to have the ability to go more deeply into these sorts of areas takes time, and they have to feel supported. And that means that their managers, and ultimately me, have to say, we have the resources for you to be able to do the kind of job that you want to do.
Right.
And then it's that, coupled with the fact that we hire staff who aren't in it because it's a job, but who are in it because they feel so strongly that this is the right thing for them to do. And then it's just a matter of empowering them to do what they feel is the right thing.
That's an awesome story. Wow. He's in his 50s, you say?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's got life ahead of him.
He has indeed.
No more of that corner.
That's having the right staff and the right people surrounding and in the right workplace. Because, I mean, that passion just doesn't come from nowhere. I mean, it's so heartwarming to hear that the right people are in that role that are able to help out really in any capacity. Because I didn't have that sense of the family and the need, Carrie, as you were talking about caring from the children all the way up. For me, thinking from the outside, it's just that individual that's looking to transition themselves.
Mm-hmm. And, different programs have different lines that they lay down. And the more competitive kinds of programs, the emphasis is on how short can your visit be, how can you take on an extra patient and do more visits in one day, and not how can we give more value to this particular family, patient, whatever.
Right. Wow.
I think
go ahead.
Just respect as well. I mean, I think that's something that you didn't say is value is great, but it's respect and human dignity, which is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And which is often at odds with a capitalistic approach to things.
Right. Well, and I mean, the family knew he had this issue, and apparently didn't have any way to approach him that he would grab hold of. There's hope from them, so it took an outsider,
right,
to come in
with expertise to say, let's have someone who does this every day look at this and see what they think.
Right.
Which he wasn't willing to do until he was coaxed into it. It took weeks and weeks of frequent contact for him to feel like he could do this, like he was willing to get to a bus stop and willing to get to and our staff made the appointments and set things up and whatnot.
Wow. So, and as you said, there are people who survive the time period that you basically have to work with them as being terminal.
Well, we don't have a set time period. There needs to be a prognosis or a medical expectation at the time of admission that with the patient's entire picture that they're not likely to live more than 6 months. But we have legitimately had patients on our service for over 2 years. Because what you do is you look at this again. You scrutinize it after 3 months, after another 3 months, and then from then on every 60 days. And you have to be taking careful notes and like, are they losing weight? Are they still, what is the overall picture to substantiate that a service that's really focused on the changes that happen near the end of life is the appropriate service. So we're careful about that. Our median length of stay, which means how long we're involved with the typical patient. So if we have like right on service, right, let's just say in a year, for instance, we have 400 to between 400 and 500 people a year that we take on. And so the middle person in terms of their length of stay who left, what is that? It's 17 days.
Really?
Yeah, so it's 2.5 weeks. So it's not very long.
Mm-mm.
Now,
Wow.
I have been doing this, as you know, for almost 30 years, and it's called the median length of stay. That has not changed significantly in 30 years.
Interesting.
What has happened is that we are getting more, as the sort of easy to refer to hospice patients are referred a little bit earlier. So there's a certain group that's with us longer. But then there are patients who really wouldn't even come to us, except that now we're much higher profile. We have our 5-bed Halle is done. We're right across from the hospital. So if someone's in ICU dying, they're happy to send them across the street to us. So we have, again, as we've gotten more and more ability to serve people, it's turned out that that typical slice hasn't changed. Now, our average length of stay is just under 2 months because we have people who stay much, much longer. So the average, the median.
Wow. Interesting. On that note, we have to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Greg Lagoy of Hospice Maui.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, now in our 10th year of broadcasting. We're going to continue, aren't we? We're going to talk to Dr. Greg Lagoy of the Hospice Maui. In the first part of the show, I'm astounded at the story you told. I mean, a true life story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that first of all, I think for many families it's hard to say you need help. I mean,
Right.
Dying is a fact of life. We just assume, okay.
But
grandma, whatever.
modern medicine is always holding, or often, usually I'll say, is holding out hope for extending that life. So we live in the context of modern medicine providing that hope.
And I think when you mentioned that you've got the hospital right across the street from you and somebody's dying in intensive care or whatever, it's an easy transition across the road, across the street, to the Halle for those final days. And that's really what that amounts to. It becomes final days.
It is, exactly.
Versus someone who has just gotten that diagnosis of terminal cancer. We've done everything we can for you.
And it may be months or years.
Yeah. But so often we think in the short term, okay, the terminal, what does that mean? Is that 2 weeks, 3 days, what?
It's interesting that there are folks who we serve who die within 2 or 3 days of coming on, and everybody in the family is completely flabbergasted, like they didn't know.
Wow.
And the physicians often know, but they don't know how to say it in a way that the family will hear it. And sometimes they don't say it at all, and sometimes they say it in a way that, because imagine if the doctor says, I don't think that your father or your mother's going to be around for more than a few more days, maybe weeks or so. And then they last 2 months. See, now the family feels like they've been put through something unnecessarily difficult. And so the physician is trying to be sensitive to how all this lands. With cancer, it's a little different because there is a pretty clear sort of down slope toward the end point of the body not working anymore. But with a lot of the other diseases, cancer is less than half of the people we serve. But with a lot of the other diseases, it is simply not that clear cut. And maybe, we had a case recently where a woman around 90 years old had some heart failure, had lung problems, debility in general, and she had gone into the hospital with some signs of a mini stroke, and she got pneumonia in the hospital, but they were treating it. But one look and you knew that she was going down. It was going to be miraculous that she was going to really walk away from this with her history, with her age. And then they decided, well, maybe we should refer to hospice. And then she died a few hours later.
Oh, my goodness.
So she never made it to us. And yet, if she had been referred when they were battling the pneumonia, they would have thought, what, are you giving up on her? It's like, well, we can continue to give treatment for pneumonia. And then if she got better and wanted to go shopping, then she wouldn't really fit on hospice at all, right? So there are situations that are really difficult to sort out like that.
Right.
And that happens, and it's fine. I think that the place of end-of-life care within the healthcare continuum has become very well established. Physicians, case managing nurses, a lot of the general public recognize the value that a hospice program can bring and have some sense of when it should come. And that's a tough conversation, as you pointed out, and it's as long as there is, and it's the respect for people that often delays the choice. It's so there's no blame. Every situation is different. The factors that are involved in every situation are difficult or impossible to weigh. Between family members, the patient, their relationships, will the patient think that we're abandoning him by supporting a move to hospice? Are they thinking that we're getting rid of them? And the patient's thinking, well, I'd rather go to hospice, but I don't want to put my family through the trauma of the word hospice and talking. So there's all these considerations, and it's almost all done from a place of consideration and respect. And it just simply happens that it sometimes delays the decision to the point where our service isn't useful. The person dies before they come on or before we can really accomplish some of the things that we want. For us, the main pieces are physical comfort for the patient, addressing family and patient communication needs and challenges, and dealing with fundamental existential issues of life and death, which is the tough conversations around the meaning of life, the meaning of death, the meaning of these last few days or weeks.
So for the families, like you say, if the person is at the point where, even the doctors don't know whether it's going to be today, tomorrow, next week, but they do come into your care, and it happens quickly. You have something for the family after that, right?
We have a bereavement program that engages the family to the extent that they want to be engaged for a year or more, but it's a minimum of a year. At the minimum, we send out a bereavement card within a few days of the death, and where we get our staff, or within a couple of weeks, and our staff all tries to sign that, so that's there. We hear that means a lot to people.
It does.
Yeah.
First-hand experience. It does.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And is that kind of an encouragement to contact us if you need something?
No, we don't put that on people because people don't know what to expect or what the experience is. That's on us. And so what we provide we send a letter out, I think at 1 month, at 2 months, or 1 and 3, 6, 9, and 12 months after the death. Each letter has different things in it, suggestions, perhaps some reflections about what the person may be experiencing sometimes. We also send out a monthly newsletter that's printed nationally called Journeys. It has, I guess we could say, season-specific or relevant commentaries, poems, writings, things that stimulate. I mean, here's the thing. There's a difference between sadness and depression, right? Sadness is an emotion in the moment. Depression is an overall affective situation that, among other things, can be caused by sadness that is not expressed. And it ends up lodging at this deeper level. And so the idea of a bereavement program is to acknowledge the sadness, to let people in a very normal and supported way feel that. And because in it is also happiness and joy, and there's all sorts of stuff mixed in it. And our program sends these letters out, and we send the journeys out monthly. We invite people, to the extent that they're interested, in participating with our grief support group, which we have once a week. It alternates. 1 week it's in the late afternoon, the next week it's in the evening, depending if somebody, can't drive at night or if they work during the day, whatever. What we find is that literally 90% of the people in those groups have experienced a death that was not connected to Hospice Maui.
Really?
Yeah. Because typically, when people have been supported through our process, it changes it. First of all, it means the death was not sudden. It was not unexpected. Okay, so the amount of emotional trauma is less when people have had days, weeks, months to begin to prepare for this. And some of the things that I think our staff's presence can bring is a sense of space that allows people to recognize that it's okay to accept what they're going through, that it happens to people all the time, and that we as beings are well equipped to deal with loss and sadness. So I think some of those things help, so that this idea of a support group, it just isn't used very often. We have a bereavement coordinator who has some volunteers, and she herself and her volunteers make calls to family members. So I'm not sure what percentage we actually reach, because it's always during the daytime and sometimes people aren't around. But the idea is to touch base and find out to what extent people are doing okay, handling what they're going through and whatnot, and to support them in some way. And then we have an event on Memorial Day every year where we have the Keavalai Church grounds. We have our memorial service. It's great. It's a fabulous, beautiful ceremony. And we have clergy members from different faith communities come, and they'll read a poem or a prayer, and there's music and a release of doves. We read the names and ring a bell for each name, and then we have some refreshments. And we just had that. It was a gorgeous event.
Right.
And and sometimes, and I think again this year we're planning to have a holiday grief workshop of some kind to help people as they approach the holidays, feeling how intense the missing of somebody can be, to help them through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a all-encompassing program.
It is.
I mean, this is,
Truly holistic.
It goes way beyond what you think of when you think of hospice. Because at least people that I've talked to think it's just for that time period. But working with folks and getting them to that, through that and kind of back into mainstream life, because it does affect you.
I would say that, like, when I first started with this job and I was looking at, what is it that I'm doing? It's like I'm not at the bedside except only occasionally. And what I came away with from the beginning is that the process of supporting people, spending the last weeks and days of their lives at home with the people they love is that it enriches the lives of the survivors. I would say often in a very profound way, and it allows them to be present with perhaps challenge, pain, difficulty of their friends, other family members, co-workers, in a way that perhaps they would not have been before that experience. People dying at home has been a part of the human story for eons, and it's only in the last 100 years that it's kind of disappeared as people have gone to hospitals and nursing homes, and people have been a bit removed from that. So by bringing it back into the home in a way that's well supported, so that it's not a horrific experience, so that it is a enriching experience, I think enriches the whole community.
Right. I agree totally. And an awesome job that you've all been doing, and excuse me, it's I can't say enough. Every time we talk, when we get to the end of your segment, I'm speechless, because I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I mean, I kudos to you and your staff and volunteers for taking on this responsibility, because it's awesome, and as Carrie said, it's just, you can't say enough good about it.
And I just want to attest to what you just said about, my dad made his transition at home where he wanted to be surrounded by us, and it was the most special gift that we got, to be with him when he took his last breath, and all of us were there. Like, that was just amazing. And then to have your staff be there to help and support us and be there with us and love us through it, amazing.
Yeah.
Great. It's our privilege to be able to help in that way.
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Simple thank you seems like not enough.
Not enough, no.
That's all we've got right now, but there's opportunities for people to volunteer, to join your volunteers. We've run over time, so I've got to cut you short here.
It's okay, but one of the things I want to say is that one of the ways you can support Hospice Maui is to support Maui United Way.
Yeah, love you,
love
Dr. LaGoy.
Now, talk about transition.
What a transition.
Hello. So thanks, Dr. LaGoy, Greg.
My pleasure.
It's always pleasure seems like a strange word to say, but it's always enlightening when you come on, because you always have a little different take on what you're doing and how it affects different people, and hopefully those out there listening aren't all teary-eyed like we are, and you're thinking through this, and it's not a matter of if the time comes, it's when it comes.
Right.
That's right.
For everybody. So thanks again.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you later. Do we need to take a break? Okay.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit executive directors, chief professional officers, CEOs, and staff. Cover everybody here.
HPIC.
Oh, HPICs. Did we tell the public what that was?
Head person in charge.
Head person in charge. Okay, so if you get a letter from somebody and it's signed and the title behind it as HPIC, you know what's going on. They heard it here first.
That's right. I'm going to trademark it.
and give people a certificate. Maybe they have to take a little bit of a class.
Maybe a class.
Yeah.
We can do it through Mnpd.
There you go. There you go. Such a deal. We want to thank Greg Lagoy for being on with us for the first half of the show, and
I love him. He's
we did
so
run over time,
inspiring.
but it was so.
No, it's worth it.
And he's like that every time he's on.
I know.
We kind of get into a little different part of the program and so forth, what all they're doing.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Hospice Maui, like I said, and I think. Dr. Lagoy touched upon it, that people get scared when they hear that hospice name. In fact, my girlfriend just went through this when her father went through a transition. I said, it's the most beautiful thing that you can do for yourself, for your family, for your kids. It's awesome. And they had a great experience too.
Hospice is not a scary word. It should be a heartwarming
experience. It's a heartwarming experience, and that's what I take away from it for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, all those of us who've been through it, that's what I got as we went through it with my sister.
But they're one of our programs that Maui United Way supports, one of the many.
And we better introduce you guys to the audience. I'm talking with Carrie Luna Nunukawa, who is leaving her position as Chief Professional Officer and President of Maui United Way. And she has brought along with her Nicholas Winfrey, who is taking her
new
place.
President and Chief Professional
and
Officer.
HPIC.
Yeah, HPIC.
I know the creator of that, so I will gladly take that one on.
Such a deal.
I know.
So this is great. When you announced that you were leaving, and it's like, oh no, here we go, another search.
Right.
But this one, timing worked.
Timing worked
for you.
beautifully. Nick brings a wealth of knowledge and of nonprofits globally. So we are very lucky to have him at Maui United Way, and I can't wait to see all the good things he's going to be doing. I'm excited for the organization, and it's always hard to leave your baby. Because I feel like, Maui United Way has been my baby for 2 years now, over 2 years now.
You were there when you had your baby.
I was there when I had my baby. It's like I birthed this too. No, I'm just kidding. But I know Maui United Way is left in great hands, and I'm very excited for him and for the organization.
Well, and from what I've heard, and which is just bits and pieces, he's used to raising lots of money.
Lots of money.
No pressure.
Well,
no pressure.
This would be a piece of cake.
I think so.
Yeah? You think we're going to see some new numbers showing up on the tally?
I hope so. Let's see.
Yeah?
Let's see. Yeah.
So now, are you finished with this year's campaign?
We are done with this year. This year's campaign ended April 30th.
Okay.
So our campaign runs from September 1st to April 30th. And we actually, although the amount we collected was just about $900,000, and we just did over $1 million last year, we had over $100,000 designated to specific organizations so it wouldn't go to all of our partners. So overall, actually, our partners from Maui United Way, what we raise will get a bump. Because it is a bigger amount that we raise for our organizations. That'll go into the allocation process in 2020.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No big shoes to fill there, no pressure.
No. You just got to increase that number.
The numbers.
The goal is really, how do you put yourself out of business? In this industry, is you want there to not be a need for you. So I think just coming into it and looking at the business side of it is, how can we do things so well that there's not going to be a need for us? And I think coming in with Carrie and the impact that she's had with the board and the staff, it's really just such a well-oiled machine that it's exciting. I'm excited to take over, and but I'm sure her shoulders are pretty sore this week. And
no. He has my cell number too.
Oh, he does.
So because I just want to make sure that he has. He's set up in the best way possible. I love Maui United Way and all the good that Maui United Way does for our community and our organization, and Maui Nui as a whole, that it's so important that this transition go as smooth as possible. And so I told him, even though I might not physically be in the office, my heart is still there, and you can call me anytime, email me, all that kind of stuff. And where I'm going is actually, they're really great too. They're like, if you need to go back and do stuff, that's fine too. So love them.
So are you going to have some time off in between?
I have a little bit, maybe few days, but
There was some hesitation
A few
there.
weeks.
Oh,
Hello,
no.
No, a few days.
A few days, and
Wow.
then I start July 1st.
Okay.
Yep.
And you're jumping into a position that basically has been open for a year?
For over a year
Over a
now,
year?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll just put it out there that
Yeah.
you're going to work for the Maui Economic Development Board
Yeah, very excited about
as
that.
their VP.
Vice president. Yep.
No question what that stands for, right? Okay. So we wish you well in that
Thank
endeavor,
you.
and we've
Thank
enjoyed
you.
having you on, and we've
We're
had
still
a lot of fun
we're
with your
still
name.
a 501c3.
And you're still a member.
And we're still a member
Right.
of MNPD.
Maybe
so
Leslie will let you come on the radio and talk
heck
about
yeah.
it. I hope so.
Yeah. Oh,
I shouldn't
yeah.
say let you, send you on.
Yeah, send me. Yeah.
And I promise I will not make fun of your name anymore. We won't play that game of how it rhymes or how I can learn how
You're
to
so
say it.
funny.
There's no rapport here, just so you all know. There's none whatsoever. No good synergy or anything like that.
I know we've had fun with that, but no, I mean, MEDB is still part of
Right.
the nonprofit world
Yep.
and still doing good in our community, and so I'm excited. I mean,
Those big shoes you're filling.
big shoes too.
Yeah.
I know it's a little intimidating.
You're up to it.
I'm up for
You're
the
up for it.
challenge.
Yes, you are. You are.
Yeah.
So
But, yeah.
now, there is a program you have going on right now.
Well, it's kicking off tomorrow. It's our
okay.
Tools for School drive that we do every year. And we put together school supply kits for our Keiki in Need in our Maui community. Last year we did just over 800 packs.
Wow.
So each kid got a backpack with school supplies to get them started on the right foot. Because school is starting. Teachers report back at the end of July, and then kids go back beginning of August. So chop. It seems like they just got out of school. Well, they kind of did, but, we're year-round here, so.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
It's a very confusing calendar for most
Well,
parents.
because not all the schools are really following the same
That's true.
calendar. So
That's
the
true.
DOE is definitely on one, but even then they have different days off because of professional development days and things like that. But so we're hoping to exceed the 800 supply kits this year. So we do have a mobile cause, which you can use your cell phone to donate to the cause. You just text 40403 and you type in Maui, and you'll get a text back with a link to donate for Tools for School.
Cool.
And if you would like to drop off school supplies, you can do that at our office at Cameron Center, or even easier is with Pacific Media Group, which is right by Queen Ka'ahumanu Center. So we'd love to thank them as well, and HMSA for sponsoring Tools for School.
Cool. Now, one of the things I found interesting is that your donation of $20 can provide a school supply kit for 2 kids.
That's right.
That's
Because
not
we
bad.
actually get such a great deal with the people that we work with, and so it's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Do they have to show a need for this?
So we get requests from our partner agencies
Okay.
for their kids
Oh,
that
okay.
they're servicing, and then so we just fill that number for them.
Interesting. Through them?
Through them.
Do they actually give them to their
Yes.
their clients?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Something for you to do
It's
after the
fun.
big campaign's over.
Right? Another thing. Yeah.
And then it'll
With
be
no
I mean,
rest.
this is up July 14th, and then you start gearing up for your September 1 start date
That's
again.
right. Because
No,
actually,
you won't. I'm sorry.
Nick
This
will.
one's on
Gets to
me.
do that.
Nick will, because actually in August is when a lot of the trainings take place for our employee campaign coordinators and things like that. So it's go.
That's the nonprofit sector.
It's the
but what's
nonprofit
great is you
world.
see all the partners coming together and working together, and even this group that we're part of here. That's what's great about Maui, and what I'm learning as a newcomer is just that family that comes together and really helps each other out, and that's what's great about this school kit program.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
fun.
So fun.
Yes, and we do look for volunteers to help put together the school supply kits. So you can call us at 808-244-8787. That's our Maui United Way office, and talk to Makana. She'll be putting together the volunteers to put the kits together, and it's
Yep.
fun.
Yeah, you'll
So
be doing that
fun.
right there at Cameron Center?
Actually, I think we may be doing the assembly at Ka'ahumanu Center.
Ah.
We did that last year.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they donated a big space to us, which made things very easy. We were able to lay everything out and
Walk
put
by,
things
pick up,
together.
and put it in a bag.
Or it might be with Friends of the Children's Justice Center. Actually, as I'm thinking about it, I think Paul Tonneson donated a space for us to do that as well. And he has a huge space, too. So
Oh, he does now?
Mm-hmm.
Last time I saw him, he had this cubby hole.
No. Oh, well, is that a secret?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We may
Right
have
here
to get him
first.
on the show.
I know. You might. Sorry, Paul.
Actually, I think he's scheduled to be on here.
So yeah,
shortly.
actually, I think it's going to be at Paul's place at
Oh,
Friends
okay.
of the Children's Justice Center,
Cool.
one of his locations.
Oh, one of his Oh, hello.
Hello. Sorry, Paul. Let it out of the bag.
You heard it here first. We're going to have to dig in and find out the rest of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, but last year it was at Kahumanu, and it made things very easy. But
Yeah.
this year, yeah, it is at Paul Tonnenson's place. Yeah.
'Cause that can end up being boxes and boxes of supplies.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
It could
but
be
it's
tough
great.
in our office.
Yeah, our office
Right.
is
It'd be tough in
tiny
our
at Cameron
office.
Center, so
Right.
we won't have the space for it.
Gotcha. So, how long have you been on Maui now?
We came here mid-April with our 2 pups, so all of just over 2 months now,
Gotcha.
all the way via Sydney, Australia.
And that was that for the job? Did you have the job at that point, or did
No,
you
you're talking
interview
about
afterwards?
serendipitous. It's one of those things. My wife and I said, let's finally follow our dreams and land where we have always dreamed of landing. And guess what? Maui United Way was looking for a new HPIC, and
See, it's catchy.
He's got it.
I
It's
think
catchy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where everything aligns perfectly, from the mission to the community to the opportunity within that organization. So I will knock on wood.
And your years of experience certainly helped with the interviews and the process, so that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with his knowledge of donor management and relationships, that's huge here. Because you know how small we are and everyone's tapping the same sources. So
Right.
looking to diversify and really build that base up, which Nick brings a lot of knowledge and intelligence.
No pressure again. Hey, I gotta sandbag this. We gotta bring it down a couple of bars.
Okay, so you know what's so funny? I have a funny story that to add on to that. So when I got married, my brother gave one of the speeches and he told my husband in front of everyone was, so the best thing you can do really is do nothing, because then the bar is really low and then you start doing stuff, right? So then you just get really appreciated for the little stuff that you do. I was like, oh my gosh.
Sneaky.
No. No. And I'm like, you're my brother. You're not supposed to do that. Like, you're supposed
That's
to.
what brothers are for.
That's a good brother.
No.
That's
Blech.
causing
Yeah.
grief for you just right then and there.
I know. Typical. Typical. No.
But luckily, I've got a great wife that says, you know what, you're slacking. So that imposter syndrome, just let it go. Just keep pushing forward. So
yeah.
that's what's great. And like I said, well-oiled machine. You come in, it's running smoothly. How can we tweak and have a little bit bigger impact and grow it year over year?
Very good. Very
I know.
good.
Exciting times ahead,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
know.
many changes.
You know, it's interesting. We've been doing this show now for 10 years, and so we've seen quite a few
Changes.
HPICs come and go. And sometimes the agencies are left in maybe not the best situation, and other times like this where it's in great shape. It's just a matter of growing from that. But it's always been interesting to me to watch the growth of the person who's doing it.
Yeah.
Because you come in you've got certain expectations, you've got certainly a background full of some success stories, and how you put this all together. And as you say, this is Maui, so it's a little different than trying to do it some other places. And to watch how the agencies mature. I mean, we've got some good examples of that right now, like with the Humane Society, with Jerlene leaving.
Right.
I mean, when she came in, there were some issues over there that needed to be addressed, and she jumped right in, took care of those issues, and then started growing
Right.
To where it's a whole new ballgame
Yeah,
over there
yeah.
this time around.
Yeah.
So
They've done a great job, like dispelling all the myths and, and really educating the public about what they do and being more
Right.
public. And it was great.
Yeah. So you just, you kind of say, okay, here's Nick. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
No pressure.
No, but it's
pressure.
exciting. I think
Yeah.
he's going to do great. And he's bringing in so much, like I said, so much background knowledge. And Maui United Way is very lucky.
Right. And I think with his personality, just the short time that I've known you here today, I can just see you working with all the volunteers and all of the staff and so forth, as one of them.
Yep.
I mean, you're just Mr. Cool.
Oh man, God, you guys are just. I'm just gonna leave now.
You gotta show you his tattoos then.
Oh yeah.
No, they're not out. We're keeping them
He's
all covered.
long sleeve shirt.
All covered.
everything.
All covered.
Oh gosh. Well, I got to tell you, that picture in the paper did no justice to you.
Oh, the big beard.
Well, no, the rest of it. I mean, it's just, I don't know. But Maui News, forgive me. You don't always do a great job with color photos.
Well, and also too, I wanted to correct something that was in Maui News. They say that we dole out money, and we do not dole out money. That is not what we do. There is a very rigorous allocation grant process that the community does.
Right.
And the community decides where the money goes.
Right.
We do not, the staff, the president, they do not decide that. And we do not dole out money.
Very good. Good correction.
Right?
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And I probably just read through that.
It was at the very end, and
Yeah.
so it caught my eye, and I just went, yeah.
Yeah. There's times when they throw in things and you say, why did you have to say that?
Yeah, I'm like, stick to the press release. That wasn't in the press release.
And we appreciate them covering it to no end. But I think it is. I think in the nonprofit sector as a whole, it's always an education piece.
Yeah.
No matter what, whether it's the Humane Society, whether it's Maui United Way, whether it's hospice. I mean, I learned something new today as well. And I think the onus is on us as nonprofit staff and volunteers to really educate about the work that we do, how we do it, and the importance of why we do it.
Right. Exactly. And keep that message
Yep.
up there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because,
Absolutely.
we know it because we live it every day.
100%.
But the rest of the community, maybe when they were involved in doing something with us, it was there. But that soon fades for the next thing that they're
That's
working
right.
on.
That's right.
But that's
So-
what we do as a community, as a nonprofit community.
Yep.
And that's what's so great about even being here today with you and getting to meet you.
Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we got to
We're getting the countdown.
I know. He likes it when I take
know.
it down to the wire and then I kind of
Yes.
sneak in there. Look forward to having you at our nonprofit directors meetings.
I'm
and
excited.
getting to know some of the other folks around. It's an interesting group of people. What's the laughter for? It is.
Well, it was the facial expression with what you said.
Oh, did I have an expression?
She's big into body language. I thought it was all right. It
Okay.
came across okay.
She knows me too well. But it takes an interesting group of people to
No,
run
it
all the
does.
different agencies.
You
that we
have to be crazy. That's why I think a little bit in the head, a little bit, right? With a big, big, giant heart to do nonprofit work, for sure.
There you go. Good description.
Yeah, we're all a little bit crazy in the head, but we all have giant, giant hearts because that's why we're in the nonprofit
make the world a better
sector.
place.
Exactly.
Yep.
For everybody.
Yep.
Yep. One person at a time.
One person at a time.
Whoa. Are you serious?
Jeez, really?
Whoa. Maui
Thanks, Gary.
Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give them a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way. We want to thank you for joining us today, and man, you really cut me short. No, I cut me short because I kept ignoring your signals. How many seconds have I got? 30. Take a deep breath.
What are we going to say in 30
We're going to say
seconds?
thanks to Carrie and thanks to Nick for joining us today from
And
Maui
Dr.
United
Lagoy.
Way. And Dr. Lagoy from Hospice Maui. Have a great week, everybody. Aloha.